Hello, cheapskaters. Welcome to our program tonight. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of September, 2024. My name is Kath, and I am the creator of the Cheapskates Club, where our goal is to live life debt-free, cashed up, and laughing. If this is your first time visiting our channel, welcome, and if it's not, welcome back. Live chat is enabled tonight, so if you are logged into your YouTube channel or your Gmail account, you will be able to join in the chat, and we would love to hear from you. Please remember to keep your comments on topic and polite. We're all allowed to have different opinions. There's no law that says I have to agree with you or you have to agree with me or anyone else. But when we differ, we do it politely, please. Okay, who's here? We've got 31 people watching. Woohoo! That's not bad for 7:30 start. 31 people like to be on time. Well done. Hello, Simone and Fiona. Hope you got your coffee. Hi, Delaney. Hope you are feeling well. Hello, Cheryl. Tuesday does come around quickly. You should be in my world. And Greg Evans. Greg Evans, let me see. The weather today was the complete opposite of what it has been for the last week. I was listening to a meteorologist on ABC yesterday morning, and he was saying we've had the equivalent of a Category 3 cyclone for a week. We've had consistent winds and the gusts have been so strong that it's like we've been in a Cat 3 cyclone for a week. And I went, oh, okay. That sort of puts it in perspective, doesn't it? It was very windy, but you know what? My peach tree still has blossom on it. The pear tree still has blossom on it. One of the lemons still has blossom on it, so I'm not complaining, and we didn't lose anything. Thought a few times the house shook and rattled and whatever, and I thought, okay, but no, God is good. We did not lose anything. And Hannah was the same. Hi, Estelle. Hope you survived. Yes, at least you have a job. Hello, Penny. Sandra, Outback 6, Kylie. Hi, Maureen. And Jane. And Jan from Adelaide. Beverly Walsh. Hi, Pat. How you going? 5:30 in... Oh, you just... Oh, I've lost it. It's gone. I need to move something so I can see what I'm reading. Instant pot rice pudding for a class you're teaching. Very nice. Isn't rice pudding just the best? It's such a comfort food. It's such a, brings back memories type food, isn't it? Love rice pudding. Wayne wouldn't last the day in our house if I made it at 5:30. He loves rice pudding. Hi, Barbara. And who else have we got? Lots of people today. Natalie, Evelyn, Melissa. Hi, Annabelle. And oh, wow. No branches on the highway. You were so lucky, Estelle. Everyone in Tassie. Tassie's still copping it a bit. Was a bit of a better day. Aradia. And Melinda and Yuta just popped in. Cool. 47 people watching. That's really good. Guys, if you like tonight's show, could you please do me a favor and give us a thumbs up? And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button. Now, I am going to sort of tip you down a bit because I got a lot out. I'm going to talk about kitchen appliances, and I can only talk about what I have and what I use. Bear that in mind if you ask a question. But I use everything like we have, and they save me energy and time, and they save us as a family a lot of money. So let me just see if I can do this. I'm getting better at this. Tip us down a wee bit. There we go. And I'll splotch down in a moment. Here we go. What have I got here? Yeah, Annabelle, it was just, the wind just never let up. It just never let up. It was just constant. Hi, Suzanne. Okay, what have I got? Let me move some things out of the way. All right. This, my friends, is my yogurt thermos. Okay. It saves us a heap of money. I make at least 1 kilo of yogurt a week. And this is the thermos I use for it. And I didn't get the container out, but it's just here in the drawer. That's the container that I use. It has a lid, of course. Pops in there, put the boiling water in, put the lid on. Doesn't take any power other than what it takes to boil the water. I've never had a failure with yogurt. It's easy to make, and it's so much cheaper to make it. And this, guys, this was like, you know, $12 or something, $10 or $12 when I bought it. Now, Easy-O are taller and they're fine, but they don't fit in my cupboard. So Hannah has my Easy-O's. I used to have 2 Easy-O's and these. I have 2 of these. She has the Easy-O's because they will fit in her cupboard. They don't fit in my cupboards anymore. These do, so we kept them. We did a swap. Making yogurt saves us a fortune. How am I going to do this? I've got the bench covered in stuff. Oh, my goodness. All right. This is going to be an up and downy type show. This you'll probably recognise. Most homes with children probably have one of these, an apple slinky. Do you like your apple slinkies? This is our second one, and it gets used anytime I'm making apples. Need to peel and core apples, I bring out the apple slinky and do it this way. So if I'm doing apples for pie, apples for applesauce, apples for stewed apple, I use the apple slinky. It's easy. My first one cost $15, $14.99. I think this one I bought about 5 years ago, and it had gone up. It was about $29, I think. But if it lasts the 10 years or so that the other one did, the other one lasted longer than 10 years, I will be really happy. Apple slinkies, well worth it if you do a lot of apple processing. If you have children that like to eat apples and you've got to peel them and core them, that works really, really well. It's got a clip on it so that it will actually stick in place and won't move while you're cranking it through. Works really, really well. Love our apple slinky. And again, it does not take power. Does not need power. This is my lemon juicer. Had this for a long, long time too. And I use it for lemons, oranges, limes, to juice, cut them in half, pop it in, close it down, squeeze it, and you get the juice, you don't get the seeds. I usually grate the lemon or lime or orange first so that I can save the zest. But it's a handy little thing. I don't know how much they are now. I don't even know how much it was when I bought it, but it wouldn't have been that expensive or I wouldn't have bought it. I'm not normally a gadget type person. The gadgets I have actually get used. So that's my lemon juicer. Annabelle couldn't live without her Apple gadget. Yes. Honestly, if you've got to stand and peel and then core or chop, doing apples, especially if you're doing them by the treeful, is really painful. Apple Slinky just makes it so much easier. And you can use the cores and the peel to make apple drink, or you can make apple scrap vinegar with them. They don't go to waste. This, my lovelies, is what I use for measuring out my cookie dough. Scoop, pop down, squash it. I'm not a fan of making biscuits. I don't like rolling biscuits. I don't like measuring out the dough and rolling them, and it is too fiddly for me. So I think most of you will know that I will often turn a biscuit recipe into a slice recipe. But if I have to do biscuits like cranberry hootie creeks or shortbread or something like that, this is what I use. Into the dough, plonk it down on the tray, and then I will use the bottom of a glass or a fork or something to press out the biscuit, and it works really well. And this way too, every biscuit is the same size. So there's none that are smaller, none that are bigger. They're all the same size. It's a very handy little gadget. And it holds about the equivalent of 2 teaspoons. Okay. Usually likes a pie maker. Kylie said her Easy-O was not effective. Switched to doing yogurt in a dehydrator. 40 degrees for 8 to 10 hours. Yeah. Okay. Eve has 3 different ice cream scoops for biscuits, rum balls, and meatballs. Yes. Well, everything's the same size in our house. Okay. Now, next up, this little beauty. I think I've shown you this before too. This is a cheese slicer. Now, someone was asking on Cheapskate's Chatter how to slice blocks of cheese. And if you're going to slice a big block of cheese, make sure it's really, really cold. Not frozen because it will crumble, but it has to be really, really cold. And as soon as it starts to warm up, it will get soft and it won't slice nicely, and you won't be able to get those thin slices, which is when you bring out your cheese slicer. Now, this one was a gift from Wayne's auntie, I don't know, 35 years ago. I think it was an engagement present or a kitchen tea present or something like that. But you just run it along the top of the cheese and it gives nice even slices. It's great, absolutely great. They are still around. You can find them in places like General Trader or House or anywhere that has a good stock of kitchen gadgety things. Harris Scarf might even have them. They are still around. You can still get them, and they are really, really good. Now, I know Delaney, I think it was, said she uses a pumpkin peeler that she got from Kmart for $2. Estelle, it's silver. This cheese slice is silver. I've lost some questions. Pat says she makes yogurt in the Instant Pot and ricotta cheese. Yes. Joy uses a small scoop for yo-yos. Makes 100 biscuits. Yep. Makes it so much easier when you know that, when you can be sure that each biscuit's going to be roughly the same size, so that you know they're going to cook evenly for a start, because biscuits can be a pain. Okay. Outback 6 says, cheese slicer died, having trouble finding a new one. Look, if you can't find one like this, try one of those $2 Kmart pumpkin peelers. And I say they're pumpkin peelers because they look sort of like this with the wire, with the blade, and it's wider as opposed to the veggie peeler being long and skinny. Pewter slices the cheese much more smoothly. I've never used, oops, nearly lost you. I don't have anything with in pewter, so I wouldn't know. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Glad you could join us. And Joy's got stainless steel with a wooden handle. Yep, there's all different kinds around the place. Right, now another thing that I wouldn't be without are these little beauties. My silicone spoons and scrapers and pastry brush. I use this, you can see it's very badly stained because this is the oil one. So when I'm frying something, a little bit of oil into a little dish and I dip the brush in, and then I brush the pan, and then I put in the fish cakes or the eggs or whatever I'm frying. I don't pour oil into the pan and swish it round. I dip the brush into the oil and then brush the pan. Saves a lot of oil, which saves a lot of kilojoules, which also saves a lot of money health-wise, and not having to buy oil quite so often. These silicone scrapers and spoons are fabulous. I have had some of them I've had for 20 years. My original lot are Wiltshire, and I got them at Big W. I don't know if you can get them anymore from Big W anyway. I know Coles sells some Wiltshire silicone spoons and scrapers and spatulas. They are fabulous, absolutely fabulous. You can scrape really well with them, get absolutely everything out. These ones I especially like because they're a nice size for mixing and stirring. So they get used every day. Now to put them in the dishwasher, because that's another favourite appliance, I just take the handles off. I don't put the wood in the dishwasher. Just take the handles off and pop the top in. Just because I'm funny like that and I don't want the wood to go. While I was away, you can see a certain son was doing the dishes while I was away for 5 weeks and he didn't realise. So it's a bit nasty looking. That's all right. A good set of measuring cups will save, and spoons. I have a couple of different kinds of measuring spoons. Let me see. Kind. I can't find the other ones. Anyway, good measuring cups. Helps you with be accurate in your measuring for baking. Worth their weight in gold. Now these are Tupperware ones. I've had them for I don't know how long. Way before we were married. Way before we were married. But I like them because they go from a quarter, a third, a half, 2/3, 3/4, and a cup. It's the 2/3 that sets this set apart. Not a lot of measuring cups sets will come with a separate 2/3 measure. And of course, these are expandable measuring spoons. I've had these for donkey's years too. These were from my friend Annette from Simply Too Good. This is the bigger one. There's a smaller one that goes up to a teaspoon. Very handy to have. Jar opener. Just thought I'd throw that in when I opened the drawer and found it. I thought, oh, there we go. Jar openers are always handy. If you've got old arthritic hands like mine and you don't have a big, strong son or husband around to open the jar for you, your jar opener is a godsend. Okay, now, no need to apologise, Lisa. Technical difficulties happen all the time, especially to me. Estelle's got several sets of measuring cups. Yes, very handy. Okay, now I know I've shown you this before, but newbies may not have seen it. This is actually a coffee grinder, but I use it for grinding coffee. I also use it for chopping nuts, grinding spices, chopping small amounts of herbs, whatever. My brother gave it to me a long time ago. It's a Breville coffee and spice grinder. Grinds coffee, herbs, and spices in seconds. It does. Durable stainless steel grinding base and blades. I would have to say that they are, because I've had this as long as we've been married. Wind away cord storage. Gosh, I wish all appliances came with something to do with the cords. Cords annoy me. And it's really easy to clean. So while it's not something that I use every day or every week, it probably gets used at least once a fortnight. If I'm chopping small amounts of parsley or rosemary or whatever, or doing small amounts of nuts for muffins and things, it gets brought out. So they're my smaller appliances. I think that's all of them. Just this one last one that I know some of you love them and some of you hate them, but this is a V slicer. This is my second one because I wore the first one out. I like appliances that don't need power. And I have quite a collection of them, but this thing I use all the time. And I do use it with the guard. Now, I've never cut myself on this because I always use it with the guard. I never just hold the food and slice it. It always gets used with the guard. Thin slices, thick slices, it will shred. That's the cover for it. It will shred. It will make chips. It will grate. So while I know some of you don't like them, didn't put that on properly, did I? And are scared of them, I love it. And yes, I keep it in the box because I don't want to attach it to a wall or anything. And I want to keep it all together, and it just slides into the corner of the cupboard. So there you go. There's all different types of these. This one's a Borner from Germany, original V6. Barmix used to have one. I don't know if they still do. There's all different kinds of them. I also have a nicer dicer or a nicer dicer knockoff that I keep out in the camper to use when we are away. Of course, when we're away, we don't have power, do we? Something that gets used all the time is, can you see this? Is that better? Is the food saver for vacuum sealing meat, vacuum sealing vegetables, vacuum sealing flour, rice, beans, all sorts of things. It gets used every week, absolutely every week. Maureen, the little coffee grinders aren't expensive, about $10 I think in Kmart. They work really, really well. Joy has the really, really old avocado measuring cups. Well, these would have to be over 40 years old, well over 40 years old, in the green, the apple green that they used to have everything in, which was about the same time as the funny coloured yellow they had, which went with the avocado too, I think. Okay, now. Usually has a biscuit press. I have one too, but I never use it. It's too fiddly. You've got to put the dough, put the shape in and put the dough in and push it down. I can't be bothered. I don't like making biscuits. I do not like making biscuits. Estelle loves her moolie. Eve says her mother has a 40-year-old slicer, I'm guessing, from Bessemer. Bessemer is still around. they have good sales on every now and then. Okay, so Food Saver. I've tried the Kmart one. I've tried the Aldi one. I've tried one of the camping ones, and I will still come back to this. I will come back to a Sunbeam Food Saver every time for ordinary kitchen use. I have been tempted the last couple of years to splurge on a bigger, more commercial type of vacuum sealer, but I'm trying to get away from the freezer, so I won't spend the money. I want to get away from the freezer. But this one, if you're going to buy a vacuum sealer, look for one that has a slicing blade for your bags, because there is nothing more painful than putting your roll in. There's no roll in here. Putting your roll in, closing your lid, making your bag, sealing it, but having to cut them with scissors or a knife. It is a pain. Look for one with a slicer. And why? I don't know whether Sunbeam must have the market cornered on this. I don't know, but I haven't seen another Food Saver food vacuum sealer with the slicer. The other thing I like is this attachment for sealing jars. And I have the jar. I didn't get them out, but the things that go over your jars for vacuum sealing your jars. It is expensive. It was $200 and something or dollars, but it's not something that you replace all the time. Now, in saying that, I use whichever bags are on sale and are the cheapest. It might be Aldi, it might be Kmart, it could be from Costco, it could be online. I am not loyal to Food Saver bags. They are very expensive. As long as the bags are for vacuum sealing, and you can tell because you'll have a smooth side and a dimpled side, you'll be able to use them in your vacuum sealer. So I wouldn't be without it. This is my third one. The first one I wore out, literally wore it out. The second one I gave to Hannah, and I got a new one. So this is my third one. I absolutely love it. Lisa says, if she got one again, she'd definitely go the Food Saver. The cheaper brands aren't powerful enough to get all the air out. The idea of vacuum sealing your food is to suck all the air out. So there's no air in that package to cause freezer burn if you're freezing it, to promote bacterial growth. You want all the air out. I found that the Kmart version and the Aldi version weren't powerful enough to do that. They didn't suck and make a really good tight package, or not that I would like anyway. So I went back to Food Saver, but I have tried them. Now, over on our website, I've done a product review and I've compared different vacuum sealers with the pros and cons. And yes, I am biased towards Food Saver because I like it, but it still wins hands down, simply, if for no other reason than that and that. Lisa likes the jar attachment. Yep, it is really good. Pat keeps it on her bench because it's convenient. Yes. Yep. Thank you, Annabelle. Thumbs up would be lovely. That really helps. When you give us a thumbs up, it's not just feeding my ego, which it does, and oh, people like me, but it actually shows YouTube that people are watching the videos, watching the shows, and liking the content. and YouTube will go, well, this might be important for someone. And so it sort of boosts up in their search. So people start searching for food savers or kitchen appliances that are useful or something, and it boosts us or our channel in that search so they can find us. And like I say, the easier it is for people to find us, the easier it is for me to tell you and to reinforce and to absolutely convince you that it is okay to live the cheapskate's way. You can still do it, even in this crazy cost of living crisis that we're in at the moment. All right, so another favourite appliance, and it gets used every week for something, sometimes twice a week or 3 times a week. But I love my food saver. I'll put this over here. And we'll get rid of the coffee grinder. It can go up there. I'm making room on the bench. This one won't take much time. Good old crock pot. This is an old Aldi crock pot, 6 litre. It's the only one I've got now. I had 2. One was a wedding present, and the crock, the actual insert, cracked after about 25 years. So I was a bit heartbroken. It was great because it was smaller. This is a 6 litre one when there were 5 of us, and I was doing lots of soups and casseroles and pasta sauces and things. It was a perfect size. Now it's great for doing those things too, for preserving. So I will fill it up with tomatoes and onions and herbs and let it cook down, then whiz through with the stick blender to puree it, and then I can can it. And that's my tomato sauce. Love my slow cooker. It's great for corned beef. It's great for cooking rice pudding, as Pat says. She's using her Instapot, I think. But it is great. And it's one of those things you can sort of set and forget. You don't have to worry about making sure you're there to keep an eye on whatever's cooking every now and then. Lift the lid, give it a bit of stir, put the lid down quickly because you don't want to lose the heat. But it's well worth it. Now, this wasn't expensive. Absolutely was not expensive. I don't know, maybe $40 at the most. And they have come down in price. You can get some now with a timer on them. They're programmable. I don't know why you'd bother, but it's a gimmick. Some people might like that. I don't know. The slow cooker, another appliance that gets used year round in my kitchen. It's the very front of the cupboard, so it's easy to get in and out when I need to use it. And get this one out of the way. Okay. When I was thinking about doing this show, I thought, I don't really have many appliances. And then I started getting them out. And I went, oh, my goodness, I do have a lot of appliances, don't I? It's a bit hilarious. Okay, another one is my food processor. 7-cup KitchenAid food processor that gets used at least twice, sometimes 3 times a week, depending on what I'm making, what I'm preserving, what we're eating. I wouldn't be without it. It chops, it whizzes, it mixes, it grates, it slices. I wouldn't be without it. If I'm doing a lot of carrot, for instance, whizzing them through here takes no time. I love my food processor. Before I had the KitchenAid, I had a Breville that was an engagement present. Hannah has it at the moment. She's using it because she didn't have a food processor. So it went to her house. I wouldn't be without it. It's one of those appliances that's on our list of things that, you know, if we ever got burgled or burnt out or something, this would have to be replaced almost straight away. It's one of those things I use all the time. Now, this is a KitchenAid. It was expensive. Do I think it was worth it? Yes, I do. There are other models. You don't have, just because I've got a KitchenAid doesn't mean you can have a KitchenAid. There's all different brands of food processors out there. So if you are in the market for one, think about what you are going to do with it and make sure it does what you want it to do. There's no point in getting an appliance with so many fancy features. If you don't use those fancy features, you're paying for nothing. So as I've got older and my hands have become worse, I rely more and more on my food processor, on my slicer, on my Apple Slinky, on really sharp knives to take over for me, so that I can continue to cook from scratch and make the jams, the pickles, the chutneys, can the potatoes and the chicken and whatever that we do. So just saying, just because I have a particular brand doesn't mean you have to have it. I'm just telling you what my appliances are. Let's get that out of the way, because my little Breville worked really, really well. Slow cookers are the best. You know, when the crock pot first came out in the 1970s, late 1960s, 1970s, and it was that delightful burnt orange colour and with the brown crock, and it was just, the food wasn't that particularly that good. But I think the food in the 60s and early 70s wasn't that good anyway. That was just the era of bad food. It was overcooked and weird combinations. Slow cookers have improved over time. I will say, if you've got an old slow cooker, compare it to a new slow cooker. The new ones are much faster at slow cooking, if that makes sense. Delaney says an ordinary plug-in timer is great for using with a slow cooker if you don't need something on all day while you're out. Yes, and you can pick up plug-in timers, Bunnings, hardware stores, some department stores will have them. They're not very expensive. Pat made pie crust using a food processor. It makes the best crumbs. It brings dough together. I do. Okay, bring it back. I do have pizza dough for our pizzas. If I'm in a hurry, I will do the pizza dough in the food processor. I do my gluten steaks in the food processor. I do all sorts of things in the food processor. It is a very handy gadget. And when it's zucchini season, I grate zucchini on the food processor. I have a hand mixer. This is really, if it's just doing a little bit of beating, I'm not going to, I'm not making tons of cakes or making a big lot of biscuit dough or something. I will use this little hand beater. It's easy. It's quite efficient. Packs away nicely. The beaters pack away nicely, and it matches my food processor. Okay, now my pride and joy in my kitchen is my KitchenAid mixer. There we go. See it? I can't see if you can see it. I have to have a look. My KitchenAid mixer. Now, I've had this for a long time. It was a gift from Wayne and the kids. I saved up, we saved up for a long time to be able to buy it, because it's got a nice strong motor in it. And I did my research, and decided what I wanted to use it for most, and it is brilliant. It stays out all the time because it gets used 5 or 6 days a week for something, for mixing something, for beating something. The dough hook will get used. It is a wonderful, wonderful appliance. Yes, they are expensive. You can get cheaper ones. Different brands, like I'm saying, just because I'm loyal to KitchenAid, and I was going to say I'm not brand loyal, don't I? But I do like KitchenAid appliances. They've not let me down. I love it. I especially love the splash guard so that I can pour things in and keep it whipping and not make a mess everywhere. But the other thing I really like it for is the pasta maker. That's the lasagna roller. This one makes the spaghetti or the fettuccine. And I have the sausage attachment for when we make sausages. They are brilliant. I had a pasta maker that you had to crank by hand, which need 2 people to do that. I can make lasagna or spaghetti or even sausages by myself with these attachments to my machine. Now, I don't know whether other mixers come with attachments like this. I've not looked into it, but I make lasagna once or twice a month. I will make fettuccine once or twice a month. Sausages we will do 2 or 3 times a year. It just makes life so much easier to have a tool, an appliance that helps to get those processes done. So I love, love, love my KitchenAid. Breville Cyclonic Whiz, yes. Delaney has one too. Those older Breville food processors just go and go and go. I said Hannah's using mine, and it was an engagement present. We've been married nearly 36 years, so I'll be 37, 38 years old. The only problem we ever had with it was the lid with the chute on it. I dropped and broke, so we just have the flat lid, which is really not a problem. Annabelle has KitchenAid, 20 years. Yes. They are, look, I chose KitchenAid because we have a friend who her husband got a job transfer to the US. She is a cake decorator. That's her trade. They were in the US for 6 years. She loved her KitchenAid mixers, and she's got heaps of them, mixers and appliances, so much that she actually brought them back with her and paid to have them converted, get the plugs changed and get an adapter put in them so that she could use them here. That's how much she liked them. So I spent a bit of time with her, playing with her machines before I made my decision, because I had a Sunbeam. Before this, I had the Sunbeam, and it's still in the cupboard. It's my backup, and there are times when I've got them both going, depending on what I'm making. So, and I was happy with the Sunbeam. In fact, my Sunbeam actually has the juicer that goes on the top of it. So it was really, really good. Joy's had a Kenwood chef since she was married 50 years ago. There you go. Yep. I think the older appliances were perhaps made to last. Kylie was gifted a Kenwood with attachments for an engagement present. Yep. Yeah, Estelle, okay. Can I undo it? I'll show you. It will go. Just goes in like that. Can you see that? See how that is? Attached at the front. Just goes in there, just like that. And you put your pasta through. Turn your machine on, and it works. Sausage maker goes in there too. They all go in there like that, and that just screws back in. Oops, didn't want to lose my little doofwacky. What's it? It's going. I'm doing it backwards, so I can't see. Yeah, they just screw into the front, Estelle. So I can do that. I can do the lasagna or the spaghetti or whatever by myself. I don't need someone else to hold it, because I did have a hand pasta maker for a long time. It's out in my shed. It was too fiddly to use. But there's fresh pasta is just so good. So much nicer. Okay. Now, who was talking about pie makers? I've shown you this before. Let's see. Hide Estelle's question. Okay. Pie maker. This is a Breville. Breville must have been the only appliance place thing I could afford at the time. Makes 4. We've had this since before Hannah was born. Hannah's 29 years old. It gets used all the time for all sorts of things. I don't just use pastry in it. I will use mountain bread in it. I will use tortillas in it. I will use bread in it. Phyllo makes great little apple strudels if you cut your phyllo into squares and put them in. Butter, layer. Put them in, add your apples and sultanas and spice, and sort of I scrunch the edges over so they're like a little parcel, and let them cook. Makes great little apple strudels, or my version. Anyway, it's great. You get 4 pies in 8 minutes. If you're doing a whole heap, you're better to use your oven. But if I'm just doing quick pies with leftovers for a Sunday lunch or a quick weeknight tea, that comes out. And of course, everyone can use it themselves. All right, how are we going? Oh, I need to speed up. I'm talking too much. Bread maker. Okay. So you can see. This is a Panasonic. I think it's my second bread maker. It gets used every week. I use it to make dough. If I'm doing pizza dough in bulk, I will use this. If I'm doing scrolls, Vegemite scrolls, cheese scrolls, cinnamon scrolls, whatever, I will use the dough setting on this because it's set and forget. Put the ingredients in, choose your setting, turn it on, and I can go and do other things. I don't actually have to do the mixing. I don't have to wait for the proofing. It just does it all in the machine. When you're busy, when you've got a lot of things on your plate, you want appliances that help you, not hinder you. This one's really easy. Lift up. There's the tin. Ingredients go in the tin. pop it back in, and it clicks into place. Put the lid down, choose what I want, push start. That's it. It's so easy. If I'm really pressed for time and don't want to bake the bread in the oven, I will bake the bread in it. I prefer to bake the bread in the oven. It's nicer. But I will do the bread in this bread maker. Bread makers are absolutely everywhere. My first one was, I think Wayne got it for $10 at a garage sale in Hillsville. He was called out on a job, and the house next door was having a garage sale, and he saw this bread maker, and we didn't have one. But he thought it would be a fun thing to have. He thought I'd like it. So he brought it home. Well, it sat for a few weeks because I didn't know how to use it. Finally learned how to use it. And yes, we've been using them ever since. Now, another thing I have that is Bazinga Bazonga. I guess this is sort of like an Instapot. I don't really know. I've not looked into Instapots. This is my pressure cooker, 5-in-1. It's a 6-quart, 6-litre. I do soups in this. I will do stews in this. It's great for if you're in a rush and you want to do a curry or something like that. Chicken casserole, anything like that is really good. It will it steams veggies. It will make soup. It acts as a slow cooker. Has a browning element in it, which is really good if you're going to use it as a slow cooker. You can brown your meat in the pot before you start cooking it. It's one of those things, a bit like the Instapot, where it's a 5-in-1 or whatever it is. I'm talking to nobody, aren't I? It's a 5-in-1, and that's great. It does 5 different things, but you can still only do one thing at a time. So from that point of view, it's a bit of a pain. It cooks rice. There's a rice cooker function, a keep warm function, a whole heap of preset times from the book for different things. Did I say soup? It's really handy. It gets used all the time too, all year round, which is why it's out. Summer, it is fantastic for cooking things in summer. It doesn't heat up the kitchen. It's really, really good. Wayne and the kids gave it to me for Christmas about, I don't know, 10, hang on, how old's Hannah? About 15 years ago. And it's just brilliant. Now, before this, I had the stovetop pressure cooker, and I have to say, it terrified me. The stovetop pressure cookers were just awful. Scared the bejeebers out of me. And the last thing to show you is something that, again, never gets put away, and that's my pressure canner. This is a Presto 23 quart. 23 quart, yep. I have the jiggler. This baby has more than earned its keep. I have the weighted jiggler to go on it, which certainly makes life so much easier, but it has more than earned its keep. I love this thing. If I ever find another one cheap enough, I will buy another one and have 2 of them. In my move to get away from being freezer reliant, and it's slowly happening, being able to preserve meat and chicken and veggies and fruits and beans so they're shelf stable for years is such a boon, such a game changer in food preservation for us. Now, pressure can has not been really popular in Australia for only just recently, probably the last 6 years or so. Took me a long time to save up for this. It wasn't cheap. They have come down in price. And I think Oz Farmer, where I got mine from, is actually having a sale at the moment. But I can do chicken, jars of chicken. You've seen me do chicken. I do mince, corned beef. Now, I will clarify that by saying corned beef is now no longer an approved meat for pressure canning. It's the one thing I'm a bit of a rebel canner with, because I did it for a long time before they decided it wasn't approved. Make your own decisions. Do your own research. Make your own decisions. I use Pat's recipe for breakfast burgers to make the McMums, and I will actually pressure can them, 5 to a jar, and pressure can them so they're shelf stable. I freeze them too, but I use Pat's seasoning in them, and the recipe is on our website for her sausage patty seasoning. It's delicious. The closest thing to the real thing. My boys love it. And I will pressure can them in jars. I do meatballs, pumpkin soup, vegetable soup, chicken soup. What else do I have? I've got beans. I've got taco beans and ordinary beans on the shelf. It's so much easier to pressure can them and have them be shelf stable, and then it's done with. I don't have to worry about the power going out. I love my pressure canner. That and the KitchenAid would probably be my favorite, my absolute favorite appliances. And like I said, this never gets put away. It is always out because I'm always doing something. This week I've got more chicken to process. There's, always something to process in the pressure canner. Absolutely love it. Sue, it is absolutely fantastic, this pressure canner. And if you are just starting out, get it, but get your weighted jiggler, so you're not having to rely on your gauge, and you will not have a failure. Absolutely brilliant. 15 years with the gasket. Well, every time, that's great, Pat. Thank you for that. Every time I finished a load, I take the gasket out and give it a clean and put it back in. And then before we put it back and fill the canner, I check it all too, just to make sure it's all good. So 15 years, I think that's amazing. I am impressed. All right. Slow cookers sort of put pressure cookers out of fashion for a while, I think. But they are very handy. I do too, Pat. I put, red beans, mixed beans, whatever they are, I call them taco beans, the red beans, just in water. Pressure can them, easy peasy. So easy. And then they're on the shelf, and I can add them to anything then. So I don't have to add them to tacos or burritos, or I can toss them into soup. I can toss them into a salad. Oh, so good. Krista bought an all-American double stack. They do cost a fortune. I'd love an all-American, but I can't justify it. And it's, I see the prices in US dollars and go, oh, that's all right. And then I do the conversion and then the delivery, and I go, have to refinance the house just about. Pressure canner, Lisa, you won't regret it. If you like knowing you have food on your shelf that is going to keep for years, and you don't have to rely on electricity to keep it, your pressure canner will be wonderful. Now, if you've not tried any home pressure canned food before, find someone with a pressure canner and sample some of their foods. You might find you don't like them. Pressure canning will change the texture. It will change. Sometimes it can change the flavor. We don't mind it. I love having mince ready to open and toss in a pan, or mince ready to open and stir through some gravy, and we've got tea ready, or a quick pie filling. Or I love having chicken so that I can add baked beans and taco seasoning, roll it up in some burritos, and we've got mock enchiladas. I love that. I love being able to open it, throw it into a pot with some veggies and soup. We've got soup. I really like that. My boys don't like ugly chicken as it is straight from the jar, but if it's in a curry or it's in a soup or it's in a pie, that's fine. They can handle that. I love corned beef. Like I said, it's no longer approved, so I'm not telling you to do it, but I love corned beef that's been pressure canned. So easy. And for us, when we go away, because we head off and we will go remote and we won't have electricity for weeks on end, having jars of food. This last trip we did, we were away 5 weeks, and most of our proteins were jarred. So it was mince, it was corned beef, it was chicken, it was beans. I took jars of potatoes. I took soup, carrots. I just do half pints of carrot straws when carrots are cheap, and put them on the shelf. I've done frozen veggies when I've had heaps of frozen veggies have been really cheap, and I've bought heaps of them. I pressure can them. I don't have to worry about trying to get them into the freezer. I can just pressure can them. It works really well. I love my pressure canner. Yeah, Pat, I've got the second shelf for it too, so I can double stack pints. Doesn't it make life so much easier? Estelle, yeah, if you can find someone who does pressure canning and does it properly so they don't teach you any bad habits, learn from them, but sample some of the foods first, some of the meat, some of the chicken, the beans, whatever, just to make sure that you are going to like it and you're going to eat it, because it's a big investment. These are like $300 odd, and then you've got your jars, your lids, your rings, plus your food. It's a big investment, so you don't want to spend that money if you find out that you really don't like it. I do lots of dehydrating too, and a freeze dryer is on my wish list. We tossed up just before COVID about whether we'd get one, and we decided to put it off, and boy, I wish we hadn't. I A freeze dryer is on my wish list. Estelle, what do we cook on when we go away? A stove, or a campfire, or a gas stove. Our camper has a kitchen, so, well, but mostly the campfire if we can, because it's free. We don't have to refill the gas bottles. Because sometimes when you get somewhere remote, the gas can be expensive. Yes, Ugly Chicken makes the best chicken salad. I do it with the chicken, and I use coleslaw dressing and celery. That's all I put in my chicken salad. Lots and lots of celery, probably 3 or 4 sticks of celery, and the chicken, and then coleslaw dressing. And I put it through the food processor, so it's a paste almost for sandwiches. And everybody likes that. Everybody likes that. So lettuce, when I'm doing it in summer, when I'm doing it for Wayne's lunches, I will put lettuce on each side of the bread, spread the chicken salad over one sheet of lettuce, pop it on top, and that way the bread doesn't go soggy. It's nothing worse than soggy sandwiches. And potatoes, if you've got, do potatoes. Now, the other week I had 25 kilos of potatoes to process. But they process up so well. And having potato on the shelf, depending on how big you cut it, is perfect for potato salad. Really quick. You can have potato salad in 5 minutes because all you've got to do is add your onion, your mint, and your dressing. The potato's already cooked. Or your egg and your dressing. The potato's already cooked. It's really, really good. And I think adding them to soup and stews and potato salad is mostly what I use the jar potatoes for. Okay. Vanna's saving for a freeze dryer too. I know they're on sale at Oz Farmer. Do you know what though? Oh, this stool's wobbly. Freeze dryers. We've only sort of heard of Harvest Right freeze dryers, but now in the US they are getting different brands of freeze dryers that are actually cheaper. And so while the Harvest Right, I think, is probably the most well known to us, it's thousands of dollars. You know, $8,000 is a lot of money. Have to preserve a lot of food to get that money back. Whereas with this, you know, 2 or 3 loads and I'd made the money back. So that's how I'm talking myself out of it at the moment. But I would love a freeze dryer. I like the idea of being able to do whole meals for us because freeze-dried food is so light. So it doesn't add weight to our van when we're traveling. Yeah. Suzanne, get your appliances out and use them. There's no point in having them just collecting dust. That's a waste of money. Oh. Yeah. I would love to try one, Kylie. If we could get the voltage right, I would love to try an electric pressure canner. Problem is they're very small. Where I can get 16 or 17 pints when I double stack in here, you can only get 4 in an electric pressure canner. They're really small. So for set and forget sort of mindless small batches, they'll be fine. And I would absolutely love to try one and see how it goes. I've asked about getting them here. I asked Ozfarmer, and I actually contacted I can't remember the name of the place, and the answer was a very abrupt, we have no intention of exporting anywhere. So I went, well, there you go, you've missed a big market then, because I reckon if you get an electric pressure canner into Australia, it would take off. They would take off. Mind you, with jars, pints at $60 a dozen, we don't want them to take off too much, do we? It's one of those things you'll need to do your own research, because like you said, some say yes, they're fine, some say no. But then we don't necessarily preserve food. Our Australian methods of preserving food are not necessarily the same as they are in North America or Europe. So what is right? You know, like I would never water bath jams or pickles. Not in a million years would I think of water bathing jams or pickles. Hot jam into hot jars with the lid straight on. They seal. That's it. Same with the pickles. I've only ever lost a couple of jars of pickles, and that was because the lids actually rusted through, and that was on cheap Kmart jars. And the lids rusted through. I've not had any go moldy on me or mildewed or look suspicious. So I wouldn't waste the water or the gas or electricity to water bath jams or pickles. That's me. Do your own research. Do your own research. It's just not something that we've ever done in Australia. Seems a bit absurd. I would love a steam canner, and I'm thinking of using this as a steam canner to try it out. I think steam canning rather than water bathing would be not necessarily a time saver, but definitely a water saver. So I am looking at that. And I didn't get the juicer out. I have a steam juicer, but I use that mostly in summer, my steam juicer, and I love that. That is really good for doing juice. So yes, Estelle, I like my electric fry pan. I had it out last week's show. I use it a lot. It's a big one though, and it does a proper meal for us, which is really good. Yes, it is a saving. I can use any jar now with my canning. It's the flats or the lids that need to be replaced each time. So that can get a bit costly depending on where you buy them. But I use all sorts of jars, not just ball jars. Yeah, Krista, I reuse all sorts of jars too. I like my ball jars, but then I don't mind my WEC jars or my La Familia jars or my Kerr jars either, or my Legos pasta sauce jars or my Domio pasta sauce jars. I don't mind those jars either. So I used to be a bit of a jar snob, but not so much these days. I got over that real quick. Although it is nice to see all the jars, all the same size on the shelf instead of steps, but who knows? Yeah, Pat, the steam canner would, I think, for anything that needs to be water bathed, if you can steam can it, I think that's the way to go. Coming into summer, we're coming into summer here, so hopefully we'll have another really good crop in the garden this year, and I'll be able to try it out without worrying about wasting food. Aldi jars, yes. Yep. A jar is a jar. As long as you can get a lid that will form a vacuum on it, you can use it. Okay. I'm saying as long as I can get a lid that will form a vacuum seal on a jar, I will use it. I'm not suggesting that you do that. Do your own research, guys. Yeah, Dawn uses the two-part flat and ring to seal them. Yep. A jar is a jar. As long as you can get a good seal, you'll be right. Now, lots of comments recently about even the for jars flats failing. I discovered quite by accident the last round of Ugly Chicken I did that, and I don't know how, but as I was putting the flats down on the jar, if I put it straight down, it didn't seem to set in place properly. If I sort of slid it across the top of the jar, I could feel it set in place. So that round, that canner load, all the jars got slid into place, not one failure. The load before that, I just sort of popped them down, and I did have a couple of failures in that. So I'm wondering if, I don't know what I'm wondering, if somehow when you sit the flat on the top, it doesn't form or doesn't quite settle or set onto the rim like it should. Whereas if I sort of dropped it down and slid it across, I could actually feel it almost click into place, which was really interesting. I haven't found any in the op shops, Lisa. I would love love to find preserving stuff in the op shops. My steam juice is amazing. It's really easy to use, and it's almost a set and forget thing. I do sort of hang around the kitchen just to make sure there's no overflows or anything, but I love it. Absolutely love it, especially when I get lots of berries. So if our berries are doing really well, I will juice them. Okay, guys, it is 8:48. I have gone on long enough. These are the appliances that I use. Would we be able to have a, yes, I'll add that to the list. Steam juicing and what you use the juice and the pulp for, please. Depends what it is, Kylie, but I will dehydrate it and powder it depending on what I've juiced. What's left will get dehydrated and powdered. Sometimes it's just composted because it's just what it is. But yeah, I will often dehydrate it and powder it to add to smoothies, muffins, yogurt, whatever. I like having powders on my shelf. Green, red, orange, brown. I don't care what color it is. I just like having the powders on the shelf ready to add as extra flavor and nutrients to whatever I'm making. Yeah, I wouldn't eat it, Krista, but I do powder it. I do dry it and powder it. I love powders. Lisa, I love powders. I powder all sorts of things. Okay, next week, guys, I want to talk about side hustles. I was thinking today as I was doing some work, and I've been asked to do something, and I thought, oh, yeah, I've got the diary out. Thought, yes, I can fit that in. I can do that. And I thought, you know what? We haven't talked about side hustles for a while. And in this cost of living crisis, having the ability to bring in a little extra cash or bring in what we need through a side hustle is it sort of puts you ahead of the game a bit, doesn't it? Gives you a fighting chance of surviving. So I have a couple of things that I do fairly regularly, and coming into summer they'll be more regularly. We're never going to turn into millionaires from them, but they're enough. They're enough for what we need. So I thought we'd talk about side hustle. So if you've got a side hustle, join us next week, next Tuesday at 7:30 on our YouTube channel, and I'll share my ideas for side hustles. You can share yours, and maybe we'll inspire someone to help their budget a little with something easy that they can do. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Now I've got to go and put all this stuff away. Wayne came out before and he just sort of went, "Oh my goodness." I looked, he said, "What are you doing?" I went, "Oh, I'm just talking about appliances." And he goes, "Who wants to know what appliances we've got?" Everybody wants to know what appliances we've got, because you might not have a lemon squeezer, but let me tell you, it's a game changer if you've got lots of lemons to squeeze. You might not have a cheese slicer. It's a game changer. Even for just putting it on the table with a block of cheese at lunchtime so everyone can slice their own cheese. The cheese will last so much longer. Anyway, thank you for joining me so much. Remember, thumbs up, very much appreciated. If you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you subscribed. It just means that when I upload a video or we go live, you get an email to say, don't forget to watch. Nothing else happens. And if you know someone who might like this program or might want to know more about the Cheapskates Club, there's a share link. And that just hit that share button, it will send them the link. And then it's up to them whether they watch or not. We don't harass them. We don't even know who you've sent it to. Okay, have a great week, everyone. I'll be back next Tuesday, 7:30, ready to talk about all our side hustles. I'm really looking forward to that because I want to know what you do, because I know some of you do some really cool things. Okay, happy cheapskating. I'll see you in a week. Bye.